The airport was alive with the familiar symphony of rolling suitcases, hurried footsteps, and distant announcements echoing through the cavernous terminal. It was early morning at JFK International, and travelers were navigating their way through security checkpoints, ticket counters, and coffee shops, each with their own unique story. Among the throng was Officer Ramirez, a seasoned airport security officer in his early 40s, whose sharp eyes had seen just about everything over the years. His partner was Echo, a sleek German shepherd with a keen nose and an even keener sense of duty. Echo had been with Ramirez for over 4 years, and the two had become an unbreakable team. Together, they patrolled Terminal B, their presence both reassuring and intimidating to passengers. Ramirez admired the rhythm of the busy morning. He knew the patterns when the crowd swelled at the gates, when families clustered near the food court, and when stressed business travelers strode through. With tight schedules. But despite the predictable chaos, each day could bring the unexpected. Today was no different. The security checkpoint was bustling. Families tried to herd their children and bags through the metal detectors. Travelers juggled boarding passes, passports, and coffee cups. Somewhere nearby, the screech of suitcases on tile mingled with the soft hum of the overhead announcements. Officer Ramirez was methodically scanning the crowd, Echo's ears perked and nose twitching, moving with practiced ease beside him. Echo was more than just a security dog. He was an expert at detecting everything from explosives to suspicious items. People often underestimated the subtle signals Echo gave when something was amiss. Ramirez, however, knew to trust every twitch and alert. As they moved closer to Gate 34. A young couple caught Ramirez's attention. They stood out not because of anything flashy, but for their nervous energy. The man, tall and thin, looked over his shoulder anxiously while the woman, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, clutched the handle of a baby stroller with white and blue fabric. The stroller's canopy was pulled tight, completely obscuring what was inside. Echo suddenly stopped, his body stiffening as his nose pointed toward the stroller. Ramirez noticed immediately. "Echo?" Ramirez murmured, watching the dog closely. The German shepherd's ears flattened slightly, and his tail stiffened. He took a cautious step forward, then another. Eyes locked on the covered stroller, Ramirez glanced at the couple again. They seemed unaware of Echo's reaction, their attention focused elsewhere, whispering to each other nervously. Stay calm, Ramirez thought. He trusted Echo's instincts. They had never been wrong before. Nearby, passengers shuffled past, oblivious to the tension quietly building just steps away. A small child tugged at a parent's sleeve. A businesswoman hurriedly typed on her phone, and a janitor wheeled a cart down the corridor. Ramirez signaled to Echo to move closer. The dog approached the stroller slowly, sniffing the air with precise focus. Then, without any warning, Echo suddenly lunged. The crowd gasped. Echo's powerful body leaped into the stroller, knocking it sideways. The woman screamed softly, and the man immediately tried to steady the overturned stroller. Bags and a diaper kit, hanging on the handle, spilled to the floor with a soft thud. Amid the sudden chaos, a metallic object tumbled out from beneath the stroller. It rolled onto the shiny airport floor with a clink that echoed through the suddenly silent terminal. Ramirez's heart pounded. Echo stood firm, growling low but controlled, guarding the stroller and the object that had emerged. All eyes turned to the strange metal container now sitting on the floor. What was it? Why was it hidden in the stroller? And more importantly, was it dangerous? Security agents sprang into action, voices hushed but urgent as they moved toward the scene. Passengers stopped, frozen in place, caught between curiosity and fear. Once busy terminal seemed to hold its breath, waiting for what would happen next. The young couple's faces turned pale as Echo leapt into the stroller, and knocked it askew. The man's hands trembled as he tried to steady the overturned baby carriage, while the woman clutched the handle tightly, her knuckles white beneath her nervous grip. Neither of them spoke, but their wide eyes betrayed a growing sense of panic around them. The hum of the busy terminal had slowed to a cautious silence. Passengers nearby stared, whispering to one another, while others discreetly took out their phones, ready to capture the unfolding scene. A metallic container lay on the floor, gleaming under the harsh overhead lights, its purpose unknown but clearly out of place. Officer Ramirez crouched beside Echo, his voice low but firm. "Stay alert, Echo. What do you smell?" Echo's nose twitched, and he gave a soft growl, signaling that something inside the stroller wasn't right. Ramirez's eyes scanned the couple again, noting their nervous glances and the way the woman's hands shook as she brushed a stray lock of hair from her forehead. "Sir, ma'am," Ramirez said, stepping closer, but keeping his tone calm and non-threatening. "Can you please tell me what's in the stroller?" The man swallowed hard and shook his head. "It's just our baby. Nothing more. We're on our way to visit family." Ramirez nodded slowly, but something felt off. The couple's hesitation wasn't lost on him. Nearby, security agents began clearing the area, moving passengers back several feet to create a safe perimeter. A female TSA officer guided a cluster of tourists away from the scene, speaking quietly but firmly. Echo stayed by the stroller, his body tense, eyes scanning the crowd as if sensing potential threats. His loyalty was unwavering, and he was ready to react if necessary. Ramirez looked down at the metal container on the floor. It was small and round, about the size of a large pocket watch, with a dull silver surface covered in faint scratches. There were no visible markings or labels, making it impossible to tell what was inside just by looking. As he examined it, a slight click came from the container. The sound made everyone jump, and whispers rippled through the crowd. "Is that some kind of bomb?" a woman asked nervously. Ramirez raised a hand to quiet the murmurs. "We don't know yet," he said. "That's why we need to handle this carefully." He radioed in for the bomb squad, requesting immediate assistance. Echo remained at his side, ears perked and ready. The couple continued to look distressed. The woman wiped tears from her eyes and spoke in a shaky voice. "We swear we don't know what that is. We borrowed the stroller from my cousin last week. She works in a hospital lab, but I didn't think anything was inside it." Ramirez exchanged a glance with the other officers. The claim made sense but required verification. "Ma'am, can you provide your cousin's contact information?" "We'll need to confirm your story," Ramirez said gently. She nodded, fumbling through her phone for the number. As the minutes ticked by, the airport's mood shifted from curiosity to tension. Travelers who had been focused on their own journeys suddenly found themselves part of an unexpected drama. The man paced nervously nearby, muttering to himself. His anxiety was palpable. Officers carefully lifted the stroller, examining every pocket and compartment. They found nothing else suspicious, but the mystery of the metal container remained. Echo sat obediently, occasionally glancing at the officers, and then back at the stroller, his instincts sharp. Then, through the terminal's loudspeaker system, a calm but authoritative voice announced, "Attention all passengers. Security personnel are currently investigating a suspicious object near Gate 34. Please remain calm and follow instructions from airport staff." The announcement added an official weight to the situation, reinforcing that this was no ordinary incident. Ramirez felt the eyes of dozens of people on him, waiting for answers. The pressure was immense, but he stayed composed, knowing that his dog's instincts were the key to keeping everyone safe. Nearby, Echo gave a low bark, signaling that he had picked up something new. Ramirez turned just in time to see the dog nudge the stroller's canopy with his nose, attempting to peer inside. "Echo, easy," Ramirez said softly, stroking the dog's neck. "We'll get to the bottom of this." Suddenly, a blast of cold air from the terminal's ventilation system swept through, causing loose papers and a napkin to flutter across the floor. The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Officers stationed near the gate tightened security. Cameras trained on the scene, capturing every move. Ramirez knew the next few moments would be crucial. The unknown container, the nervous couple, and Echo's intense focus painted a picture of a mystery that demanded answers. Answers that could mean the difference between panic and safety. Echo's muscles tensed as he edged closer to the stroller. His eyes locked onto the tightly pulled canopy, his sharp nose twitching as he sniffed the air with increasing urgency. Officer Ramirez could feel the tension rising, not just in Echo, but in the crowd gathering nearby. Without any warning, Echo sprang into action. With a sudden burst of energy, he leapt fully into the stroller, knocking it sideways and causing the diaper bag hanging from the handle to spill its contents onto the shiny airport floor. Bottles, wipes, and toys scattered amid the surprise. Gasps of onlookers. A hush fell over the terminal. The young couple froze, their faces a mixture of shock and alarm. The man reached out instinctively, trying to steady the overturned stroller, but his hands trembled visibly. The woman's breath caught in her throat, her wide eyes searching Officer Ramirez's face for answers. Then, amid the scattered items, something metallic slid free from the stroller's depths. It rolled across the floor with a clear, sharp clink, an odd sound that echoed sharply in the otherwise silent terminal. Ramirez's heart skipped a beat as he crouched down to inspect the object. It was a small, round metal container, roughly the size of a palm, with no clear markings or labels. Its dull, unassuming surface gave nothing away, but its presence here was undeniably suspicious. The onlookers held their breath, eyes fixed on the strange object, and Echo's unwavering stance beside it. Echo growled softly, a low, steady warning. That kept everyone rooted to their spots. Officer Ramirez radioed urgently for the bomb squad to respond immediately. Every second mattered now. Nearby security agents began to carefully move passengers back, establishing a wider perimeter around the gate. An airport staff member spoke calmly but firmly into a megaphone, urging everyone to remain calm and clear the area. Despite the sudden chaos, Echo remained focused. He shifted slightly, nose hovering over the stroller's edge, his sharp gaze flicking between the container on the floor and the young couple. The man and woman stood motionless, the tension etched on their faces. The woman clutched the stroller's handle as if it were the only thing grounding her in the swirling storm of uncertainty. She whispered something to the man, who nodded and took a hesitant step forward. "I swear, officer," he said, his voice trembling but earnest, "we don't know what that is. We borrowed the stroller from my sister. She works at a hospital lab and sometimes carries things for work. We had no idea anything was hidden inside." Ramirez studied the couple carefully. Their fear seemed genuine, but in situations like this, appearances could be deceiving. He needed to verify their story quickly. "Can you give me your sister's contact information?" Ramirez asked calmly. "We'll need to confirm everything for safety reasons." The woman fumbled for her phone, her hands shaking. She scrolled through her contacts, finally finding the name and dialing. The phone rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. Ramirez nodded, understanding the added complication. "We'll contact her shortly," he said. At that moment, a sharp, official voice crackled over the airport's loudspeaker system. "Attention all passengers. There is a security incident near Gate 34. Please remain calm and follow instructions." From airport personnel. The announcement was short, but effective. reinforcing the seriousness of the situation without causing panic. Ramirez glanced at Echo, who was still standing guard by the stroller, his body taut and ready. The dog's instincts had proven time and again to be spot on, and Ramirez trusted them implicitly. Minutes later, the bomb squad arrived, a team of specialists clad in protective gear, carrying high-tech scanning devices. They moved swiftly, but carefully, their eyes scanning the metal container and the surrounding area. The lead technician bent down and picked up the container with gloved hands, placing it into a secure scanner. A hush fell once more as the device emitted a series of beeps, scanning and analyzing the contents. Passengers watched with bated breath, phones lowered, but eyes wide. Rumors began to spread quietly among the crowd. Was it a bomb? A weapon? Something far worse? Ramirez's heart pounded as he stood beside Echo, waiting for the technician's verdict. Finally, a scanner beeped a reassuring tone. The technician looked up, nodding. It's not explosive. The container holds a sealed sample used in medical research. It's harmless, but requires special handling. The relief was palpable. Passengers exhaled, some whispering thanks, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Young couple looked exhausted but grateful, their shoulders relaxing just a little. Ramirez gave Echo a firm pat, silently praising his partner's sharp instincts. But the story wasn't over yet. Why was such a container in a stroller at a busy airport? And why hadn't the couple noticed it? Ramirez knew they would need answers. And fast got the announcement from the bomb squad. Technician brought a wave of relief through the crowd, but the tension in the air didn't completely fade. Questions still hung heavily over Gate 34 like a thick fog. Why had such a medical sample been hidden inside a baby stroller? And why hadn't the couple noticed it? Officer Ramirez tightened his grip on Echo's leash, his mind racing as he scanned the anxious faces around him. The couple, still pale and shaken, stood a few feet away from the stroller, their bodies tense and rigid. The woman's eyes darted, nervously, as if searching for an escape from the spotlight. Around them, security agents carefully began to reopen the gate area, but a low buzz of whispering voices lingered, spreading like wildfire. Passengers exchanged glances, some still clearly unsettled. A mother pulled her child close, while a businessman checked his watch impatiently, trying to return to his disrupted schedule. Ramirez knew the situation had triggered more than just a security alert. It had stirred fear and confusion among hundreds of travelers. The presence of Echo, standing resolutely by the stroller, had calmed some, but others whispered about what could have been. The young man stepped forward, his voice shaky but determined. "Officer, I know this looks bad, but I promise we had no idea. My sister works at the hospital lab. She often transports samples, but she usually keeps them secure. I think she might have accidentally left this one in the stroller." Ramirez nodded thoughtfully. "Have you contacted her again? We need to verify this story." The woman took her phone out once more and tried calling the sister's number again. This time, the call went through. After a few tense seconds, the voice of a woman came on the line. "This is Dr. Mills," the voice said, professional but concerned. "I'm at the hospital lab right now. How can I help?" Relief flooded the couple's faces as Ramirez connected the call. The woman explained the situation quickly, detailing how the couple had borrowed the stroller only a few days earlier. "I'm so sorry," Dr. Mills said. "We had a batch of samples in transit, including this one. It's a harmless isotope, used for imaging tests, but it requires careful handling and special permits. I must have accidentally left it in the stroller when we prepared for transport." Ramirez listened carefully, asking a few clarifying questions about the protocols and why the sample wasn't declared or packaged in a way that airport security could have detected earlier. Dr. Mills explained the hospital's internal mix-up and apologized for the oversight. She assured Ramirez that the sample posed no risk to the public or airport personnel. Ramirez relayed the information to his team, who nodded and began to ease the tension. The metal container was safely secured for transport back to the hospital, under the supervision of the bomb squad technicians. Still, the incident had sparked a chain reaction. Airport security supervisors quickly convened to review how such a situation had arisen and how similar incidents could be prevented. Meanwhile, the young couple was gently questioned further to confirm there was no ill intent. Travelers nearby watched as officers interviewed the couple, some expressing sympathy, others frustration at the delay to their own plans. Airport staff worked to smooth the flow of passengers, offering reassurances over the loudspeaker. Echo remained calm throughout, his presence a steady reminder of safety amid the uncertainty. Officer Ramirez gave the dog a few quiet commands, rewarding him with a gentle scratch behind the ears. As the perimeter around Gate 34 was gradually lifted, Ramirez could see that the atmosphere had shifted from panic and suspicion to cautious understanding. The crowd dispersed, conversations turning from fear to curiosity about what had happened. Nearby, a family of tourists spoke in hushed tones about the dog's incredible instincts. "That's one smart pup," a mother said, squeezing her child's hand. Ramirez smiled quietly, proud of his partner. Echo had not only prevented a potential scare, but had also helped uncover a safety breach that might have gone unnoticed. The couple, now calmer, gathered their scattered belongings and prepared to leave, thanking the officers for their professionalism. Before they walked away, the woman glanced back at Echo with a grateful smile. "Thank you," she whispered softly. Echo's ears flicked in acknowledgement, his eyes bright and alert. Officer Ramirez knew that, although this incident was resolved, it had raised important questions about security procedures and personal responsibility, especially when it came to items hidden in plain sight. As he led Echo away from the gate, Ramirez reflected on the fine line between vigilance and panic in an airport setting. Today, they had walked that line carefully and lived to tell the tale. With the tense atmosphere beginning to settle, the bomb squad technicians took over the scene near Gate 34. Their arrival was swift and professional, clad in heavy protective gear. They moved with purpose, carrying specialized equipment designed for handling suspicious objects. The metal container, now carefully placed in a secure carrying case, was the center of their attention. Officer Ramirez and Echo watched as the technicians worked methodically, setting up their portable X-ray machine and chemical detection devices. The crowd had been moved back, but curious onlookers still peeked over the barricades, eager to see what would happen next. The lead technician, a tall woman named Lieutenant Carter, approached Ramirez with a serious expression. "We'll conduct a full analysis," she said firmly. "Until we confirm the container's contents, we'll treat it as a potential threat." Ramirez nodded, appreciating the thoroughness. Even though the hospital's call had provided some reassurance, security protocol demanded that every suspicious object be treated with the utmost caution. Lieutenant Carter's team began the scanning process. The X-ray machine revealed the internal structure of the container, small vials neatly packed inside, some tubing, and what appeared to be a sensor device. The image was unlike any weapon or explosive device, but they weren't taking any chances. "We're also running a chemical analysis on the outer shell and air around the container," Carter explained. "Sometimes dangerous substances can be disguised or sealed inside." As the scans progressed, Officer Ramirez took a moment to update airport management and security supervisors. They needed to keep all departments informed, especially since news of the incident was already beginning to spread through social media and news outlets. The couple stood nearby, quiet now, their anxiety replaced by a mixture of embarrassment and relief. The woman spoke softly to Ramirez. "We never intended any trouble. It was an honest mistake." Ramirez gave a reassuring nod. I know, but the airport is a sensitive place. Even small mistakes can cause big problems. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as the bomb squad completed their careful examination. Echo remained at Ramirez's side, alert but calm, his keen senses providing an extra layer of reassurance. Finally, Lieutenant Carter removed her helmet and gave a nod of approval. The container holds a harmless isotope used for medical imaging. It's not explosive or dangerous, but it's a controlled substance that requires special handling. The couple's story checks out. Ramirez allowed himself to breathe easier. Thank you for the thorough work. We'll make sure this kind of mix-up doesn't happen again. The bomb squad packed up their equipment, securing the container in a special case that would be transported directly back to the hospital lab. Under strict supervision, Lieutenant Carter turned to Ramirez with a thoughtful expression. This incident highlights a gap in public awareness about transporting sensitive materials. We should consider working with the hospital and airport to educate travelers and staff. Ramirez nodded, already thinking ahead. Absolutely. We'll draft a plan to improve communication and safety protocols. As the perimeter was lifted, travelers slowly resumed their passage through the terminal, some casting curious glances back at Gate 34. The airport's rhythm was beginning to return to normal, but the memory of the day's drama lingered nearby. A family with a small child approached Echo, marveling at the dog's calm demeanor. He's a hero, the father said, offering a smile. Ramirez smiled in response. He's just doing his job. With the container safely removed and the couple cleared of any wrongdoing, the focus shifted to lessons learned and future prevention. As Officer Ramirez and Echo resumed their patrol, Ramirez reflected on the delicate balance between security and efficiency in a bustling international airport. Every day brought new challenges, and today had been a stark reminder of how vital their work was. Echo trotted beside him, alert and ready, their partnership stronger than ever. The day's events would soon become part of airport security training now. Story about vigilance, teamwork, and a keen dog who saw what others could not. As the airport slowly returned to its usual bustling pace. The story of Echo's leap and the mysterious container had already begun to ripple through social media and news outlets. Passengers who had witnessed the scene shared videos and photos, praising the quick actions of the K-9 unit and the professionalism of the security team. But with the relief came a wave of questions, doubts, and whispers. Officer Ramirez found himself answering questions from colleagues, airport staff, and even a few reporters who had managed to get access. How did a dangerous object get so close to passengers? Could this have been a terror attack? One asked. Ramirez kept his answers measured. Every incident is taken seriously. Thanks to Echo's training and sharp instincts, we prevented a potential threat from escalating. The container turned out to be a medical sample, but the mix-up highlights the need for vigilance. Yet, despite the reassurances, rumors began to spread. Some travelers questioned whether the couple's story was entirely true. Others speculated about hidden agendas or security flaws. The airport's management team called an urgent meeting to discuss the fallout and public relations strategy. Meanwhile, Echo's reputation soared. Passengers who had seen the dog's bold leap sent messages of gratitude, and a local news station reached out for an interview. Ramirez, however, remained focused on the bigger picture. Behind the scenes, the young couple was still under quiet scrutiny. Though cleared of any wrongdoing, officials wanted to ensure there was no connection to broader security risks. The man and woman cooperated fully, providing detailed explanations and contact information for everyone involved. The couple's story was verified through hospital staff, who confirmed the accidental transportation of the medical isotope. Still, questions lingered. How many other travelers might unknowingly carry hazardous or sensitive materials? Could this incident inspire new policies or regulations? Airport security experts began drafting proposals to improve scanning technology, introduce better signage, and implement educational campaigns for passengers borrowing or transporting unusual items. Ramirez participated in several of these meetings, advocating for stronger collaboration between medical facilities, transportation authorities, and security personnel. He stressed the importance of clear communication to prevent dangerous oversights. Meanwhile, Echo was given a brief break from duty, a rare moment to rest and recover from the intensity of the day. Ramirez took him to a quiet corner of the airport's K9 training facility, where Echo could stretch and relax. As Echo lay down, Ramirez petted his fur and whispered, "You did good today, partner. You saved lives." Echo responded with a soft wag of his tail, eyes closing briefly before opening again, alert even in rest. But Ramirez knew this was only the beginning. The incident had exposed vulnerabilities, and the airport community would need to stay vigilant to protect travelers and staff. Outside the training facility, the sun set over the airport, casting long shadows across the runway. Planes took off and landed, unaware of the drama that had just unfolded within the terminal. For Ramirez and Echo, the night was a quiet pause in an ongoing mission, one filled with uncertainty, challenges, and the constant need to be ready. Though the immediate threat had been averted, Officer Ramirez couldn't shake a gnawing feeling that there was more beneath the surface. The incident with the stroller and the mysterious container had raised questions that couldn't be ignored. Why had a controlled medical isotope ended up in an unsecure baby stroller? And how had it passed unnoticed through the airport until Echo's keen senses alerted everyone? In the days following the event, Ramirez found himself drawn deeper into the investigation. Airport security and law enforcement launched a full review of procedures, working closely with hospital officials and transportation authorities. Ramirez attended several meetings, each uncovering new details and concerns. One of the most troubling findings was the hospital's own handling protocols. While the accidental mix-up had been labeled a human error, the investigation revealed gaps in communication and oversight. Samples were sometimes transported by third parties without proper documentation or training, an alarming breach in a system designed to be tightly controlled. Ramirez also discovered that the hospital lab's internal tracking system was outdated, relying on manual logs and inconsistent labeling. This lack of modernization increased the risk of dangerous materials being misplaced or mishandled. The couple who had borrowed the stroller cooperated fully, but their testimony also revealed how unaware everyday people could be about the potential dangers of carrying sensitive items. Neither had received any warning or guidance from the hospital or related agencies. As the investigation expanded, airport officials began reviewing passenger screening procedures. Echo's alert had prevented what could have been a far worse situation, but it was clear that technology and human vigilance alone weren't enough. To address these concerns, a new task force was formed. Ramirez was appointed to represent the K9 unit, bringing his expertise and first-hand experience to the table. The group's mission was to develop comprehensive recommendations for preventing similar incidents and strengthening security protocols. Ramirez welcomed the challenge, but the pressure weighed heavily. The airport was a crossroads for thousands of people daily, and any lapse could have catastrophic consequences. Meanwhile, Echo returned to regular patrols, his presence reassuring to travelers and staff alike. But Ramirez noticed the dog's focus had sharpened further, almost as if he sensed that the incident was part of a larger puzzle. One afternoon, during a routine sweep near the international arrivals gate, Echo stopped abruptly and fixed his gaze on a small, unattended package beneath a bench. Ramirez called for backup and carefully approached with Echo at his side. The package was an innocuous-looking bag, but Echo's behavior was clear. there was something inside that didn't belong. Security officers arrived quickly, and the bag was scanned and inspected. Inside, they found medical equipment and documents related to the hospital lab, but no dangerous substances. The discovery raised new questions. Had someone been trying to retrieve or move sensitive materials covertly? Was this linked to the Stroller incident or something else entirely? Ramirez's investigation deepened. He collaborated with airport intelligence, law enforcement, and hospital security, piecing together fragments of a story that hinted at negligence, potential smuggling, and the fine line between innocent mistakes and security breaches. At night, Ramirez often found himself reviewing footage, reports, and notes. Echo, ever faithful, rested nearby, but remained alert to any sudden noises or movements. Ramirez understood that the safety of the airport depended on vigilance, teamwork, and an unyielding commitment to uncovering the truth, no matter where it led. The Stroller incident had been a wake-up call, but it was only the beginning of a much larger investigation that would test the limits of security and trust. Weeks of investigation had passed since Echo's dramatic leap into the Stroller, and the airport was no longer abuzz with whispers of panic, but with serious conversations about security reforms. Officer Ramirez, though exhausted, felt a growing sense of purpose as the pieces of the puzzle slowly fell into place. One afternoon, a breakthrough came when the hospital security team uncovered an internal email chain that revealed troubling details. It appeared that a small group of employees had been circumventing protocols to move medical samples through unofficial channels, bypassing the strict documentation required for sensitive materials. Their motivation was unclear, some speculated. It was a misguided attempt to expedite testing, while others feared worse. Ramirez and his team worked with hospital officials and law enforcement to identify those responsible. Interviews and internal audits revealed that the sample found in the Stroller was part of an unauthorized batch transported without proper clearance, hidden in items like the Stroller to avoid detection. The couple who borrowed the Stroller had truly been unaware. Innocent pawns caught in a system gone awry. With this new information, the investigation shifted from a simple security breach to a case of internal negligence and potentially criminal misconduct. The airport and hospital quickly implemented sweeping changes. New protocols mandated advanced tracking technology for all medical materials, strict training for anyone handling such items, and enhanced communication channels between medical facilities and transportation authorities. Officer Ramirez was invited to help design and lead specialized training sessions for airport staff, focusing on identifying unusual behavior and potential risks. Echo's role expanded too, becoming a central figure in canine demonstrations that educated travelers about airport security. One evening, as Ramirez and Echo finished a long day of patrol, a message came through his radio. A suspicious package had been reported near a different gate. The tension of the earlier incident had not faded completely, but Ramirez felt ready. Approaching the area, Echo immediately alerted, signaling a heightened response. Security officers arrived and secured the perimeter while a bomb squad technician carefully examined the package. It turned out to be a harmless forgotten backpack, but the alertness and preparedness of the team underscored the lessons learned. Ramirez looked down at Echo, who wagged his tail confidently. "This is what it's all about," Ramirez said quietly. "Being ready, staying alert, and protecting everyone." The story of the K9's leap, the hidden medical isotope, and the investigation that followed became a defining moment for the airport community. It sparked reforms, inspired training programs, and reminded everyone that security was a shared responsibility. For Officer Ramirez and Echo, their partnership had once again proven vital in keeping the airport safe. As planes soared into the evening sky and travelers moved through the terminal, the lessons of that day carried on quietly, but powerfully proof that vigilance, courage, and teamwork could prevent panic and protect lives. And somewhere in the heart of it all, a loyal dog lay ready for the next challenge, ears perked, eyes bright, forever watching.